This week saw the launch of Microsoft's new Xbox One console, the Xbox One S, the smaller and weirdly more powerful Xbox One. I say weirdly because with Microsoft's behemoth console, the Xbox One Scorpio on the horizon, you could question why they've actually bothered to release this console at all. Regardless, the Xbox One S is here and we're about to break it down for you and tell you whether it's actually worth your money or not. First things first, just how different is it? Well, to state the obvious, it's 40% smaller than the original Xbox One, and it comes in a new, sexy, yes, we're going to use that word a lot, white case. From a ports perspective, all of them are the same for the most part. There are 3 USBs, one of which is now on the front, the controller sync button is also on the front, and instead of a touch sensitive power button, the new power on switch is a push button instead, which is nothing but a good thing. The Xbox One S also says goodbye to the power brick, with it now integrated into the console itself. The console can now sit upright with a stand included in the box if you get the 2TB model. If you get the 500GB or 1TB models, which are coming on the 23rd of August, you'll have to purchase the stand separately for $20, or your regional equivalent. Kinect owners, however, will have to either order a free Kinect adapter or pay for one for the peripheral to work on the new console. Other than that, there's not much change here, to be completely honest. It's a tasty looking console and far more desirable than the original Xbox One. Inside the Xbox though, not a great deal has changed. It still has 8GB of DDR3 RAM, quite why they didn't opt for DDR5 we're not sure, and it still has a 5400 RPM hard disk drive, so install times are exactly the same. The big changes however come from a GPU perspective. I say big, but the improvements are actually quite minimal, although they do make a difference. From a CPU perspective, it's exactly the same as the original Xbox One, clocking in at 1.7 GHz. But from a GPU perspective, the AMD Radeon is overclocked to 914 MHz, which is 61 MHz more than the Xbox One's 853 MHz. Take into account the ESRAM bandwidth boost, and the Xbox One S's computing power rises to 1.4 teraflops, beating out the Xbox One's 1.31 teraflops. This is clearly to cope with the demands of 4K and the high dynamic range, aka HDR support, but it does improve the performance of normal Xbox One games, believe it or not. An example of which can be found in yesterday's video, as linked here. So performance wise, yes, it is faster, but only by seconds. Every second counts though, right? Obviously, the big reason to get an Xbox One S is if you're keen to delve into the 4K world, with the console upscaling all games from their original resolution to 4K. Sure, there are a few games planned for HDR support in the future, such as Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3 and Scalebound, but they seem to be few and far between at the moment. Of course, if you want to get into 4K video, then yes, the Xbox One S supports all that jazz, but from a games perspective, it seems to be lacking in all honesty. If you own a 4K TV though and want to upgrade your console, then you're golden. The Xbox One S is a sleek bit of kit, that much is certain. It's ever so slightly more powerful than the Xbox One, it looks sexy, and it introduces the console to the 4K market. The question remains then, should you buy an Xbox One S? Well, the answer is quite simple. If you have an Xbox One, then no, you most certainly shouldn't. It's not that much of an improvement to justify you forking over the best part of 300 quid for it. Save your money for Scorpio. If you haven't got an Xbox One though, the Xbox One S is a great starting place for you to jump in. A, it's not that much more expensive than the original Xbox One. B, have we mentioned how sexy it is as a piece of tech? Come on. And lastly, it is admittedly, no matter how small, a more powerful console. If you can wait a year though, we'd probably suggest doing that and putting your money towards the Xbox One Scorpio, which Microsoft says will be the most powerful games console ever. But if you can't wait and you want to jump into the wonderful world of Xbox, the Xbox One S makes for the perfect entry point.